Council President Lyda.
Here.
Council Pro-Tem Posey.
Here.
Councilmember Swiney.
Here.
Councilmember Driver. Here. Councilmember Murphy.
There he is.
Councilmember Middlebrooks. Councilmember McClinton.
Here. With a quorum present, we will proceed with our agenda, beginning with item number 1, resolution number 8223-24, Mr. Corley.
This resolution adopts the annual transportation plan for the fiscal year 2025.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8223-24.
Second. Motion and a second. Mr. Reeves.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Lyda, for considering this tonight. We certainly apologize. We missed the deadline on the last agenda, and this plan does have to be adopted by August 31st. So thank you all for considering this tonight, for voting on this in your special meeting. This resolution is for approval for the fiscal year 25 annual transportation plan. Presentation of this plan is required each year as part of the 2019 Rebuild Alabama Gas Tax Act, and it identifies how the funds will be utilized for the next fiscal year. The proposed plan includes milling, patching, and resurfacing portions of Stadium Trace Parkway from just south of Emory Drive to Fleming Parkway, as shown on Exhibit A. I don't know if Wendy can pull that exhibit up or not. The length of the project will be approximately 1.15 miles, and the costs are estimated at over just $651,000. The resurfacing project is anticipated to start late spring of 2025 with 60 calendar days allocated for completion. The tax fund itself is expected to generate approximately $557,000. The remaining funds will be allocated from additional gas tax fund sources.
Any comments or questions for Mr. Reeves from the body? Anyone from the public like to speak on the resolution? Seeing none, we have a motion and second for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Item number 2 is a resolution 8241-24. Mr. Corley.
This resolution authorizes payment to the United States Treasury and amends the budget for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8241-24.
Second. A motion and a second. Ms. Cornett.
Yes, this is a payment to satisfy an amount due from a recent notice of levy that the city received. It covers 4 separate quarterly reports where there were amounts due. The total amount that's being requested is $78,381.48. We have a couple of other quarters, and I think, is there a addendum, Wendy, that you can put up to show the outstanding IRS payments that or notices that we have as of right now, so visually they can see that. These problems are stemming from what appears to be a compliance-related problem. We appear to be making our payroll tax deposits on time, the actual money deposits on time. The problem has been with our compliance, which is the quarterly report, and accurately filling out the Schedule B that goes along with it, and is reporting and reconciling the amounts that we've taken out of people's paychecks and the amounts that the city has put with that for the amounts due to the IRS for federal withholding and for Medicare and for Social Security. This has been a persistent problem and challenge in the past. As the Kroll report noted, I don't think we had a single 941 report that lined up with a reconciliation. And so we've had some quarters with overpayments and some with underpayments. But to rectify that going forward, we've instituted a reconciliation process where we compare what we've actually paid in and report that amount correctly to the IRS. So we're hoping that and then beginning to file our reports online instead of sending them snail mail will help us not get smacked with penalties because we were late to file. So if you'll scroll there down to the bottom, Wendy, There's a schedule that shows the actual quarters that are covered by this notice of levy, right? So you have third quarter 2021, second quarter 2022, first quarter 2023, and second quarter 2023 amounts that are due that make up the $78,000. In addition to that, there are two other quarters where we have received notices that we are trying to negotiate with the IRS. And we do have a payroll company, BMSS, our auditors, payroll company is helping represent us before the IRS in hopes that we can negotiate these amounts down. So what we're proposing tonight is to pay these amounts. Payment does not constitute agreement with the amount that's due, but it is rather to stop the motion of the intent to levy. And then we intend to go back and negotiate that with the IRS. It is possible to get a refund if we can make a case for that.
Any comments or questions for Ms. Cornett?
I do, thank you. Ms. Cornett, so we definitely will obviously pay this, but I have a few questions. I would like to know, how long has this persisted further back? I know the Kroll report came out at Friday at 5 o'clock, where a lot of folks have not read it yet. I've only gotten halfway through it, and it's concerning. So,
Absolutely.
do you know what the total amount of IRS levy and fines that are in that Kroll report?
So I do know as of right now, so the Kroll report covered a period of time. In fact, one of the exhibits noted an entry, an accrual for about $170,000 of IRS penalties and interest related to the 2022 audit, where we did not pay those amounts, but we counted an expense as a result of that audit, and we accrued a liability. And later, the IRS came back and forgave those amounts. So as we stand right now, and this was the schedule and I can share this with you after the meeting. As we stand today, including the levy, $202,679.47 is what we know about.
Wow.
So we have these 4 quarters. Notice the 4 quarters that we mentioned with the intent to levy that are included in that $202,000 amount. We have $121,000, roughly, almost $122,000 from fourth quarter 2023. And that one's a little bit of a weird one. We really think that is a mistake, but we're working on it. And then first quarter, March, that filing from March, about $2,300.
I guess my biggest concern is, how come the council has never been made aware of all this?
Well,
I know a lot of this happened before your time. I get that. I'm not
No.
placing blame.
that's a good question. It's a good question. I don't think that it was known at any level of management that these were issues other than what was uncovered at the 2022 audit. I know when I came to work here in February, I uncovered that amount from 2022, and it took a phone call to the IRS to find out that there were some other quarters that we had problems with, so I promptly ordered transcripts and tried to start getting to the bottom of it. And that was, at that point, I learned that we had not earned ourselves any favors with the IRS by not straightening up and flying right after they had forgiven such a huge amount from 2022. So these notices have been stuck in a file and not responded to, and that's one of the things that is a big no. Like when you get something from the IRS, they're not going to go away. You've got to respond to it. So the biggest way you can just get yourself in trouble is to file and do nothing. And so where we are now is it's arrived at, a bigger deal because we did nothing along the way. But we're looking at pretty much no reconciliations on these 941s and errors with our compliance reporting since 2021. There's 4 quarters every year, so what is that? 12 quarters, 13 quarters. So this has been a developing story, right? The more you dig, the more you find out. So as we've uncovered these things and then tried to remediate them, that's kind of been the story.
Well, what concerned me, And as I recommend everybody read that Kroll report, it's very detailed. And I do know that what also concerns me, in one of the pages they have, I know the mayor is quoted in the paper as saying, hey, there's no fraud. And that's good, but fraud is like saying, hey, I have a good bank because no one robbed it. That's a very low standard. And I think that Hoover has higher standards than that. And one of the things that worries me in this report that Kroll has is it says right here, the implications of not having correct, accurate financial books and records in a timely manner, including making uninformed financial decisions. And they put in here as example, spending the money the city does not have. And that concerns me a lot, that this is one of the reasons I know me and my fellow colleagues have been wanting more transparency. It's not to get anybody's business, it's to have oversight, to know what's going on. And when IRS notices go out for multiple quarters for hundreds of thousands of dollars of fines, again, you're the messenger, it's very disturbing. It's hard to do your job. And it's also hard to trust further information because I don't know if y'all know this, but here on the council, it's not like we have staff and researchers to help us. It's a part-time job. You get paid about $514 a month after tax, and we're trusting the information that we're giving or receiving. And to me, I hope going forward, I know you and Ken are working on a plan to help fix this up. And I hope the council, and I expect the council to be heavily involved in that process to make sure this does not happen again.
I would like very much for it not to happen again.
Well, I know it's a tough job y'all are doing. I appreciate it.
Any other comments?
One quick one, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
We thank you for the conversation the other day. We talked for quite a while, and I learned a lot about this. There was one question I had for you, and I can't remember the answer. That's why I'm asking you again.
Okay.
I had heard that Gary Palmer, Representative Palmer, had helped us with this issue in the past.
Yes,
And maybe that's what got those fees waived.
it is. to my
Is that a
understanding.
possibility, again, to talk to him for some more assistance?
I think the context under which we got his help was that it was an unusual circumstance where we had Melissa Moore, I believe was the name of the lady who was in charge of our payroll, and it was February or early March of 2020 when she passed away and had not had the opportunity to fully train her successor. And I think at that point, and this is hearsay because I haven't done a lot of deep digging on this one because it's been forgiven, but it was my understanding that we missed making some payroll deposits. So we were running payroll, but we missed making the deposits, and that's where you get in really deep water. But again, that was right before COVID, and the world went crazy. And I think the timing of that and the circumstances of that are part of what allowed the mercy and grace to have that amount forgiven.
I understand.
You would expect, I think, if you had been forgiven that much, to then apprehend, this is a big deal, we're going to get this right going forward. But like any time you do something wrong, it's good to demonstrate you know how to do it right going forward, and that might earn you some favor. And that's what we want to do now.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Item number 3 is Resolution 8242-24. Mr. Corley.
This resolution creates the position of payroll manager and amends the budget for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2024.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8242-24.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Ms. Cornett.
Yes, this is a new position. Y'all might remember that we had a division director role that was responsible for both payroll and general ledger, which are both two very big responsibilities. And they are two areas that are in need of closer attention, as was brought out by the Kroll report. Also, the skills that you need to run payroll are different than what you need to be really good at managing a general ledger and recording accounting transactions. So this request is for a new position, basically to split that division director that combined those two areas into two separate positions. So we will have one person who is over payroll with lots of experience, who can kind of guide us going forward and developing our policies and process, documenting our processes and making sure that we don't drop the ball again. So it seemed like a timely thing to go ahead and ask for this position so that we can advertise it and hopefully get a great candidate and get them to working as soon as possible and make a lot of progress going forward.
Questions for Ms. Cornett on this position? Anyone from the public here to speak about this resolution? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it, the motion carries. Item number 4, resolution number 8243-24. Mr. Corley.
This resolution amends the budget for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2024, for the salary increase of the city treasurer, chief financial officer to be retroactive to the date the employee received the appointment of city treasurer.
Mr. President, I move to continue this item to the call of the chair.
Second. We have a motion and a second to continue. Any comments from the body on that item? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. That brings us to the end of our agenda. We are adjourned. I'm told the clerk needs a